about the rod. All right, we're back with another segment. We are joined by the one and only David Rock Feinstein of the Rods. David, welcome.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I know Shockwave is an amazing song and video, and Rattle the Cage is an album that people are highly anticipating. Of course, the follow-up, the Brotherhood of Metal. Tell us about the song and the album, what you're most proud of achieving creatively with this.
On this new album?
Yes.
On this new album? Well, I think, obviously some time's gone by, and I think in the early days, the Rods, we were in that beginning, that first wave of the new wave of heavy metal,
Right.
There was a lot of punk music going on at the time with rock, and creating that new wave of heavy metal. And us being a trio, I mean, we were, categorized sometime as being the American Motorhead, which is not a bad category to be in.
Right.
But to answer your question about the new album, back in the day, it was like, I would write songs about partying and having a good time, and because that was the whole thing back there. Mm-hmm. And I think now with this album, I think this album to me is the best album we've ever done. Because I know the songs that I've written for this album, it's like we've matured, and I want to send a good message out to the songs. I just don't want to write songs about parties and having a good time. I want to write songs that have a good message, and that's what Ronnie's songs were about. They were good messages in a lot of those songs, and it's like I want to send positive messages in my songs now. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I concentrated on when I wrote the songs for this album. So I think along with that, we have a different bass player in the band now. And this is the first album with this new bass player. And it added a new spark, to the sound of the band and the energy of the band. Freddie Volano is the new bass player. And it was just like a little shot in the arm for us, and all those things put together, and this fellow Chris Collier, who mixed the album, was finally able to capture, we always had a great sound live, but we could never capture that sound on record, for some reason, all through the years. And Chris Collier managed to know, what we needed and what we wanted, and he was able to put that into the sound of this record, to capture the sound that we have live onto this record, and that has a lot to do with the way the record sounds, because he mixed and mastered it. But the combination of the songwriting, the performances were great, and having this new bass player he was really great. He played, great along with Carl and myself.
Yeah.
And the maturity of the music has a lot to do with it also. So I'm really excited about the album. I know that, the first thing as a musician, like if I write a song or record a song, whatever, I want to be happy with it, and it's like my concern is like, if I'm happy with it, it doesn't really matter if anybody else likes it, as long as I'm happy with it. It's my baby, it's my song. It's, something that we've recorded. And if we think it's good and somebody else thinks it's good also, that's phenomenal. That's great, Yeah. So I think I can speak for Freddie and Carl about the fact that we all think that this is the best thing that the Rods have done so far, both, sound-wise, performance-wise, and songwriting-wise.
Yeah, well, I know you're coming off a lot of acclaim for Brotherhood of Metal, and we go all the way back with the Rods to Rock Hard in 1980 and Full mm-hmm. Throttle, Wild Dogs, and everything. Now, in the beginning, I know, did you do a tour with Metallica or just some shows?
No, we did in the early days. We did at least a couple of shows with them. There was a tour set up to do with them and us and I don't know, Raven or maybe one of the other bands that was coming up. Because during that time period, all these bands were like the new bands that were coming up, you know.
Yeah.
Metallica was one of them. And excuse me. So, but yeah, we did a couple of shows with them. We did, you know, a bunch of shows with Motorhead at the time too. But yeah, no extensive tours with Metallica. You know, we kind of like knew their management pretty well too. You know, Johnny Z that managed them. But yeah, it was a different time. It was a time when all these bands were up and coming and starting out.
Yeah, I know it was an amazing time. You had L'Amour's and all the clubs in New
Yeah.
York and the whole scene back then. Of course, people were influenced, like you say, from Motorhead to Iron Maiden. There was a whole new scene coming in, and it was an exciting time. It's amazing to have you guys back and still doing it. I've spoken to Carl before. It's the album is Rattle the Cage. I want to encourage everyone to go out and support it. Crank up Shockwave, the video, the song, more coming. We look forward to following up with you, Rock, and keeping in tune with everything in the Rods camp. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure.
Hey, I appreciate you having me, and believe me, I'd be happy anytime, you know, to speak to you. And like I said before, I could talk for hours, you know, and a lot of times I get criticized by like, oh, shut up, you know, stop talking so much. But anyways, you know, I feel that like I talk because I know that the person I'm talking to wants to hear what I'm saying, you know. So
Well, that's it. With
I
us,
really
it's
appreciate
the
you
more
having
the better. We look forward to our next chat.
me. Yeah.
So much, Rock.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Thank you.